Hey everybody, Gunnison Undercover. Today is Sunday, October 14th, 2018. And we got a Blue Zero Hero story for you. This one is coming out of Atlantic City. I read it originally in the APP newspaper, Asbury Park Press, but it was a very lengthy story and we didn't want to do it. But then I saw it online here, and this is reported on the Inquirer, plus others, and you can see what's the pictures there. And let me just read to you what it says. A 34-year-old Atlantic City police officer has been indicted by a federal grand jury for a brutal 2013 arrest using a K9 dog on a man outside a casino that cost the city $3 million to settle. U.S. Attorney for the District of New Jersey, Craig Carpenito, announced Thursday. Sterling Wheaton of Mays Landing was charged with one count of violating civil rights and one count of falsifying a police report about the arrest of David Connor Castellani, a Linwood resident who was 20 at the time, outside the Tropicana Hotel and Casino on June 15, 2013. Months later, Castellani sued Wheaton and Atlantic City, and the case was settled last year after Senior District Judge Jerome B. Simandl denied Wheaton's motion that the lawsuit be dismissed. Why would it be dismissed? You let the dog bite him. In his 78-page opinion, Simandl described in detail the evidence in the case, including surveillance video. Once again, the camera. That's the cop's biggest enemy. That's the bad cop's biggest enemy, a camera. That captured much of the incident. That video was posted on YouTube in November 2013, shortly after Castellani filed his lawsuit. Castellani was hospitalized for 4 days, required more than 200 stitches after being mauled for nearly 2 minutes by Wheaton's K9 dog, Hogan. Simandl called the attack vicious. Wheaton had an extensive record of complaints against him, Simandl wrote. See, here's a cop with a history of problems and he's still on the damn job. Defendant Wheaton accumulated 33 internal affairs complaints in his 7-year career, 23 involving allegations of assault or excessive force, and I bet you in the investigations it was not substantiated, right? And triggered the early warning system 8 times between October 2009 and September 2010. At least 8 times in 2011, 6 times in 2012, and 3 times in 2013, but has never been disciplined, Simandl wrote. Of course not. They don't discipline for violence. When an officer commits violence, they don't punish them. The judge later wrote, Wheaton has been involved in a great deal of excessive force litigation in the vicinage, including a 2013 case where a jury awarded plaintiff $250,000 after Wheaton assaulted a New Jersey Deputy Attorney General. He cost the taxpayers $250,000. Why is he still on the job? See, this is the problem, people. This is the problem. You got a cop, cost the town $250,000. He's got a history of complaints and violence, a pattern of it, and he's still on the job. I mean, this is like a nightmare waiting to become reality, and it did. Wheaton appeared in Camden Federal Court Thursday before U.S. Magistrate Judge Joel Schneider and pleaded not guilty, of course. He was released on $50,000 unsecured bond. His lawyer, Louis Barboni, could not be reached for comment Thursday night. The indictment returned by the grand jury Wednesday does not identify Castellani by name, but the incident and Wheaton's role have been the subject of ongoing media coverage. Simandl wrote that Castellani was with 5 friends who took a limousine to the Tropicana for a night of drinking and was tossed out of the casino 3 times that night for being underage. At some point, Castellani was handcuffed and detained by security officers and then cited for disorderly conduct by a responding police officer, Darren Lorady. Castellani was released and he agreed to leave, but then he and police officers at the scene started verbally taunting one another from across the street. Well, you know how that's going to work. Payback time. It's called contempt. Prosecutors said after several minutes of verbal altercations, an officer identified in a lawsuit as Lorady ran across the street to arrest Castellani. A struggle between Castellani and several officers ensued. 4 officers started striking him on the back. Well, you know, the football team's all got to get their kicks and punches in. A 5th officer joined in the knee strikes before successfully handcuffing Castellani's left hand. During the struggle, the officer called for a canine backup. Well, they got to get the dog in on it, too. The indictment states that Castellani was lying on his stomach with an officer kneeling on his head and neck and several officers pressing down on his back and legs when Wheaton rushed in with the dogs. Well, I'll tell you what. I've seen enough stories now where I believe the victim, not the police anymore. Wheaton punched him twice, according to the indictment. Castellani was finally handcuffed and the K9 was returned to his police vehicle. The indictment alleges that Wheaton and other officers together reviewed Tropicana's surveillance video before writing their reports on the arrest. Wheaton then allegedly prepared and submitted falsified police reports to justify his action. Well, let's see. We got thugs, violence, and lying. So those are some of the big things that they like to do, these bad cops. Not the good ones, the bad ones. They like to lie and they love violence. They love it. These are the same bullies. I know these guys in high school. They're not happy unless they're making your life hell. And they get older and they get on the police force, and the ranking officers teach them what is acceptable to do, and beating the crap out of somebody, letting the dog bite them. And it's payback time. It's the old story I've heard, that if a cop has to chase you, you're going to get a punch in the face when he gets a hold of you because you made him run after you. In this case, they had a verbal altercation, and the cops helped escalate it so they could go arrest him. And then they brought the dog in because the guy's drunk and he's acting stupid. I'm not making excuses for him, but it's the old thing. They resort to violence to resolve problems. This is what thugs and bullies and idiots do because they don't have a brain. They learn it at an early age, use the fists to beat them in submission, to agree with you, or intimidate them. That's what they do. Physical violence and intimidation. And finally, I'll wrap it up with this. This is another example where these officers got to start having their own liability insurance. If that officer had cost that town $250,000 the first time, that would have skyrocketed his insurance policy, and it would have cost him money. And he probably would have thought twice about doing crap again because, get to a certain point, you can't get coverage anymore and your career is over. And that's the way to resolve the problem. So if this officer had his own insurance, liability insurance, it wouldn't cost the taxpayers $250,000. And then you got this $3 million settlement that he cost the taxpayers. So this client has cost the taxpayers $3,250,000. That's $3.25 million he's cost the taxpayers because he was an idiot. And he got away with this crap because the blue line of bullshit protected him. And here you had a guy that had a history of doing stuff. And I would say after that $250,000 lawsuit he caused, I would say that was a big red flag out there. All right, folks, I'll leave this. Let me bring it up again for you to see. There it is. It's in the Inquirer. I'll leave the link there for you, and you can read it yourself. And let me get the picture back up here. I love this. Another picture. This is like a football team, right? The guys got the ball. They're all going to jump on top of the quarterback and put a few knees and kicks in there and punches while they're at it, and hold them down till the dog gets there. So, all right, let me know what you think about that in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. You can follow me on Facebook. I put stuff on there I don't necessarily put on YouTube, and sometimes it's the prelude to what I'm going to put on YouTube. And you can always get me at gunnison_undercover@gmail.com. And if you got a story or something that might be of interest here in New Jersey about what the cops are doing, or some crooked politician or something along that lines, drop me a line. Let me know. I'd like to hear about it. If I think it's newsworthy, I may just do a story on it. Till next time, people, be well, be safe, and always record the police.